they just started to offset. And somehow, like, the way it must have happened is like they were just offsetting more on the side that won during this offset procedure, and they won some more money. So anyway, everybody's screaming and yelling, so we made 50 grand on this baccarat scam that was just, incredible. And nobody, Joe had told me there was no heat, nothing. They were, of course, they were. Every pit boss in the casino was watching that game, and they whoever the shift boss was there at the time, which I'm going to tell you a story about that in a second, was watching the game, and there was nothing they could do because at that time they didn't have 24-hour surveillance on every game. So they even if they were suspicious, which Joe said they weren't, they wouldn't have me doing the fix on the shoe. And probably even if they did have surveillance on it, at that the quality of it back then wasn't so good. They probably wouldn't have been even able to identify what I was doing when I was fixing up the hands. So anyway, we partied, we were hugging, and just it was a 3-hour celebration, right? It was like 6 in the morning when it was all done. We were all spent, and we all fell asleep in various parts of the floor of my very sparsely furnished apartment, and it was just great. So now, the next day, we get up, we go have breakfast, and so Joe says, "Well, it's a great experience now. You want in?" And what he meant by that, do I now want to become part of his team? We did the scam, and again, he said, "Look, we did it. You're getting your cut. Everybody gets their cut. It's up to you now what you want to do with this, right?" I don't have to tell you guys what I did with it, right? Well, of course, I said, "Yeah, I'm in. I want to be on your team." So what we had to do is I had to cover now or clean it up, called sweep up what happened at the Four Queens. So I wasn't going to go quit immediately, right? So the idea was I would work there 2 more weeks and then give them notification that I was quitting. So this way, they wouldn't have a baccarat dealer, or the table just got beat for 50 grand and the baccarat dealer quits the next day. They might get suspicious. So we did everything, to make sure the heat wouldn't come back after it was all over, right? So now, one of the most incredible things that happened was 3 days later when I went back to work, because this happened on a Saturday night, right? Or early Sunday morning. So my days off, right, are Sunday night and Monday night. And on Tuesday, I go back to work. So when I went back to work, one of the most incredible things happened. And this is what it was. When the dealers come on shift, right, they you have to clock in the basement of the casino, right, in the building. Then you come up to the floor. After you clocked in, right, you go to the top of the pit, right? The pit, the baccarat table was at the end of the pit. You go to the top of the pit and you walk through, and the pit boss of that pit tells you what table to go to. Now, in my case, it was always the baccarat pit, because they only had one other dealer in the casino on the shift who could deal with baccarat, and he didn't even really know the game that well. So he would deal on my breaks. So I knew I was going to the baccarat pit. So it just so happened when I walked the baccarat pit, like I said, was all the way at the end. So I had to walk through the pit. So when I walked through the pit, the shift boss, or actually he was the casino manager too. He was the shift boss of that shift.